Welcome back to another episode of Owning the Weight podcast. I'm your host, Jillian Tedesco. Joining me again are my two co-hosts, Madie and Abby, and we're going to talk all things wellness, nutrition, and business. Today, we're talking about the growth mindset. I would correlate that into all areas of your life because without a growth mindset, it's very hard to achieve things that are outside the norm for you personally. So let's talk a little bit about that. First of all, let's talk about growth mindset, what you guys even think a growth mindset is. So anybody want to give me their quick little rundown?
Ooh. I think growth mindset is always being willing to, I guess, take the next step in your life, career, whatever. Being able to be uncomfortable and kind of step outside of the box and do what is not like the norm or do what's needed to, I guess, grow. I don't know.
Okay. So, yeah.
I think having a growth mindset for me is, I think it's like a lot of things kind of wrapped up into one. I think it's having a positive mindset.
Mm.
I think that it is being open to feedback and like not being open to feedback in just a way of just listening, but like truly understanding and then wanting to implement changes from the feedback into your life. And I think saying yes, like to opportunities and things like that. Like even things that
It's kind of what you said.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Yeah.
Is saying yes. Like you
not
said,
being
getting
shut
uncomfortable.
off.
Yeah.
Can you think of a time when you recently had to have a growth mindset, Madie?
My career changed.
Talk about uncomfortable. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm sweating even thinking about it. Yeah.
Why don't you walk us through like
Okay.
the fear or the anxiety or just
Yeah.
any of the things that you felt and then you really trust in the process of doing it for right reasons?
Yeah. So I took a different career path with Fit Flavors, one that I was not thinking about or expecting. So at first I was very like worried and I'm like, oh, what am I doing wrong? Like this isn't what I wanted kind of thing. And I was very negative against it and didn't want to do it. And I was just kind of like, man, why me? Like those kind of things, like poor me. Now being in my new role for almost 2 months now, like,
That's all it's been?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Why does it feel like so much longer?
Yeah.
It does feel like it's been forever.
It feels like it's been so much longer.
Yeah. But yeah, now like I've changed my mindset of it. I'm like, this is growing me as a person. This is helping me with future, with whatever like my career path takes me here. And it's giving me so much more experience that I wouldn't have gotten if I would have stayed in customer service. So yeah, I mean, it was a long battle with myself. Like
Maddie's managing one of our locations.
yes. So yeah, so I think Abby can attest to this. Like she would look at me and she's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Like I was just shut down and I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine."
I'm like, LOL.
You're like,
no, you're not.
But yeah, I just kind of kept it all bottled in and I was like, the whole poor me thing, but now opening my mind up to it and being like, this is
How do you manage that? Like, how do you remind yourself to have this growth mindset through this? Like you're going through it right now. Like,
yeah.
what's been a vice for you?
Talking about it to
Okay.
other people who have either gone through something similar or who are in the position that I'm in now, putting a lot of my worries and fears into my faith, praying about it a lot, like that kind of helped, but just being open to the changes and not having to have everything planned out like I've always wanted to
Okay.
or thought. Like I'm very list oriented.
I've heard her say the unknown a couple times.
Yeah.
So
It
that
scares me. Like I've always been like against the unknown. Like I grew up like having anxiety and stuff. So I was like, I need to be a step ahead of everything that's going on in my life. And with this was a huge curveball. And I think like taking the unknown and just being like, okay, like I can handle whatever's coming my way with it. And it's fine.
So, I feel like I know a little bit more of this story because, like, do you feel like you were pushed at all?
Like with taking the position? Yeah. I feel like I had a decision in it if I wanted to take it or not, but ultimately I don't feel like I had the decision. Like it was kind of like, here's like an ultimatum, but in the end, like I am happy that I took it. Like it has changed me as a person and has pushed me and made me grow like a lot in the last couple months. And I don't think I would have ever gotten that if I would have just stayed where I was and just been comfortable and complacent. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. changed a lot.
Yeah. I feel like we definitely pushed you a little bit to step outside. It was like knowing what you're capable of. And I just think about like my husband too. Like he's pushed me to do a lot of things where I might not have done. And I'm so grateful that he will push me. Like I can think on one hand, people in my life that push me. I just got a new person in my life and I'm so grateful for that person. It's my golf coach. Like she is up my ass. And I'm like, sometimes it's uncomfortable because I'm not used to people pushing me to grow. And she messages me almost every day, whether it's on Instagram of something to watch, on my text message or my text message with her and Jason. And she's always giving me things to read, a perspective to look at. And so it's just like, she is pushing me outside my comfort zone because I've committed to competing this year, if you guys don't know, but like that, I'm really scared about that and excited, but like she's a pro, she's an LPGA pro. Like, so like she is pushing me in ways that like, I'm not used to, and I kind of like it, and I'm kind of scared, and I'm learning to be grateful for her pushing me because she's going to help me achieve something probably in myself I didn't even know I had. You know what I mean? So
I know whenever you get people in your life that push you because they know what you can accomplish is so different from where I was 5-10 years ago. Like,
and I think the fact that you just have a little bit of openness to it, even though you still had all that like fear maybe, and that just knowing that you should have a growth mindset, because that's what we talk about here at Fit Flavors, and it allowed us to kind of help you get there. But like I think like I've wired myself to allow myself to have this growth mindset for the past several years. So like seeing her get in here and honestly make me uncomfortable because it's very time consuming. It's a lot to read, it's a lot to watch, it's a lot to plan for, but like it's good that I have someone to push me. So, I got off topic there, but what I was thinking is like people who can push you towards having a growth mindset is so cool.
So powerful.
You need them.
There's not a lot of people that push. You know, so if you got people who are going to push and pull you, that's awesome.
Just picturing, or I'm just thinking of that scene in Mean Girls where she's like, "I'm a pusher, Katie." Like,
movie quote.
You're movie quote.
Is that right? I don't remember that line.
It's in Mean Girls.
Yeah, I know.
And she's the teacher, and then she is talking.
Yeah,
Tina Fey.
Yeah.
Yep. And she's talking about how she knows that Katie is much more. She's more
like her math, right?
Yes, like she's not
Katie's
giving
Lindsay
it all. Lohan.
Yeah. Okay.
And she's acting not as smart as she is to get a boy's attention, and so. She's like, "I'm a pusher, Katie. Like, I know you got more than this." And then Lindsay Lohan's character is like, "I think she pushes drugs."
Yeah. In the bird
and
book.
then it goes in. Yeah.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, that's
for sure.
Yeah.
But I feel like you need people like that. And I know it makes people very uncomfortable. And they're like, "Why are you doing this to me?" Like, blah, blah, blah. Like, people take it as like a negative thing. And it's not. Like, you guys doing this, pushing me into this position, not pushing me, but like leading me into this position, it wasn't a negative. Like, you guys are like, we have this growth for you. Like, we can see this in you. And like, yeah, I was pissed and uncomfortable, but I'm like, okay, sure.
Manny's like, "I'm just along for the ride."
Like, here we go.
I think it'll make it a little easier when the next thing comes up for you because you've kind of been through something. So talk about the difference between maybe having a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. Can you tell if you're maybe fixed in one area?
Oh. I mean, I've gone through things in my life like change. Honestly, like I've gone through things in my life where I've received feedback and I'm like, what are they talking about? Like, what do you mean? Like that doesn't like,
that's not me.
No. Which it's just my ego.
Oh.
Like, Abby.
Yeah.
Don't be so egotistical. Jeez Louise. But, and also too, like I was very, very young. Whenever I was in a management role whenever I was really young. Like I didn't have any management experience. And so I'm receiving feedback from these people that have years and years and years of experience. And my head was just so freaking big. I didn't want to take it in at first.
Yeah.
And then I received some feedback that I didn't receive feedback well. And I was like, what are you talking about? I receive feedback very well. I sit there and I take it. What do you mean? But then the story I was telling myself in my head is,
Yes.
you don't do these things.
Yeah.
They don't
know what they're talking about.
Yeah. But in reality, they did. And I did do those things. And so now I'm just like, if I ever catch myself doing that, I'm like, no, ma'am.
Yeah. The growth mindset totally does change your perspective as to look that everything is an opportunity.
Yes.
Everything is opportunistic. So like how you take things, whether it's you don't like hearing it or whatever, what can you do with that? You can either absorb it and maybe work to change. I mean, it's humbling. It's a little humbling. And not everybody has something to stand on when they give feedback. I'm just saying. So like just because someone says something doesn't mean
that is very true.
You know, so take it with a grain of salt. But like if someone's saying something to you or something's being pointed out, that is a reflection of what they're observing. So either you like it or you don't. That is what is being portrayed. And so that's when you need to do some, I'm
soul searching.
Do I maybe need to think, oh yeah, I am only 24 years old and like, whatever.
I was like, oh, I'm 22 and I'm in a management position. Like I've got my shit together. What are they talking about? Like, ma'am, you're 22 years old. You're only 22 years old in a management position.
Yeah.
You've never been a manager before.
Yeah.
Like they know.
So silly.
We have a manager here who's been with us for a long time and she's amazing at taking feedback. And I've just watched her blossom. And like she actually loves getting constructive feedback because then she knows she can fix it. I'm like, dude, you got it figured out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing to watch when someone's in that mindset of growth.
Yeah.
I also think too, a fixed mindset, like I've had a fixed mindset in the past about my nutrition. Like I used to just think certain things were like how it had to be.
Yeah.
And I just got really fixated on it and it kept me in a box. It really kept me in a box. And I put a lot of rules and regulations around my beliefs of what I thought was true. And that was really when I didn't truly have a true understanding of how the bodily systems operate and a true understanding of nutrition. So like until I was actually educated, was I really able to figure out what was going on. But I had to open myself up to grow, which meant getting educated, actually really truly understanding. So when I think of fixed mindset, I think sometimes it's when you just get so stuck on something and you're not willing to listen or actually, like you said too, take it in and understand it. You don't know what you're talking about.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I had an epiphany one day because I grew up with, golly, I probably shouldn't even be saying this, like about my parents. I love my parents so much, but they both have fixed mindsets and like their potential could have like they have so much potential and like they could have taken their lives so much further and lived so much more, but they have fixed mindsets and so they just kind of like live in complacency. And I'm
just think how you get older, it gets harder and harder because you get more rooted in that thing. Where I'm watching my mom go through it. I mean, kudos to Mama Mary. She has been on a journey for her health, and I'm just going to say she's got the number one daughter right behind her. Helping her with all the resources and like encouraging her. And like she's had her ups and downs, but it's almost like it's going up the hill, but it's just like up and down at the same time. So like she'll have a setback, but then I'm like, keep learning. It's constant learning. Like I'm still learning. You know, I've taken my learning outside of nutrition and into full wellness. Like I want to understand like longevity. I want to understand cell health. I want to understand hormones deeper, like all of it, because your body is so complex. So it's like, I just want to sponge out. So I want to get all the people around me that can help me grow. And maybe that's where I go.
That's a good way to like talk about a growth mindset, being a sponge.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say something else too.
I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, that's okay.
Brain fart.
Sorry.
I was like,
oh, no. I was thinking about our next question, like shifting towards a growth mindset.
Yeah.
How can you get there? I had an idea in my mind. Like I remember in business a couple years ago when I started feeling like, oh my gosh, this business is financially bigger. It's people bigger. It's process bigger than I think I'm capable of right now. And so I was like, I want to hire a business mentor, somebody who's done it. And I brought in a man. He's much older than me. He's done retired. I actually coaches business owners. And he was a CEO of a very, very large company. He was chief of the St. Louis Police Department. He was president of Lindenwood College. Like he has done some really big things. And when I sit there and I listen to him, like, it's hard because he's telling me a lot of new things and maybe things I don't necessarily agree with, or because it's just new. And so I had to like change my thought process. So like I just became Captain Questions with him, like asking him all the questions, trying to understand from his point of view. And like he's at the top looking down at me. And so like being able to come up there and look down on the business and see it from a new perspective, I had to learn how to do that because I had been so in it, like touching everything. And so like they always say you got to work on your business, not in your business. And you know, at the beginning, like, fuck you, you're doing everything. Like that sounds easy to say, but like when you got to do the work, like no one else is doing it or you can't afford to pay someone. So you just are doing it.
Yeah.
So that was something I had to learn as the business was growing. I was like, how can I continue this growth of the business, the success of the people within the business, if I don't learn how to set the business up better, strategize better for growth, bring in smarter people, resource my employees better. So it was like all these things I had to learn how to do different. And it was like, if I didn't have this growth mindset for the business and for how I was running the business, I was just going to get stuck. So that was a big step for me. Big step.
Yeah. What do you think, like some, like, with that being said, like daily habits you can do? Like, do you think there's things that people can do every day to help with their growth? Or do you think it's just kind of...
So here's a perfect example. Like I'm in leadership. So like I'm always thinking about leading people and inspiring people and like driving the right things I want in the business. So like feedback. It's one of our core values is communicate openly and give honest feedback. And like I told you guys, I was filling in the other day. I was running one of the routes and I had to deliver food to the stores and unpack the tubs and stack the box stock. And I thought, I'm going to reach out to that store manager. And I just said, hey, I just wanted to follow up and make sure I delivered everything up to standard and you didn't have any feedback for me. And so like it was showing that I was open to his feedback because heck, I don't do that job. I know how to do it, but like I could have missed something and I'd want to learn. And two, I was showing him that like you can ask. I'm hoping that he would do the same with his employees. So that like just one thing. So I think is asking for feedback. I tend to do that when I'm working with new people or like I try something new is I'll just ask like, how did that go? Do you got any feedback from me? Like, what can I do different?
Yeah.
Gave a presentation at work the other day to the staff, asking them to poke holes in my presentation, just asking for feedback. So like, I think it's just being open. And once you get there, it's not scary anymore. You just got to do it a couple times. You got to be, I don't want to say thicker skin, but you will build thicker skin asking for feedback because you're only trying to get better.
Yeah.
So if you can set the ego side, be more humble, just ask for the feedback. Like, how did I do? Like, in all essence, is there something I could do better? Like, people are like, wow, you know? And then they're more inclined to be open and give it to you in the future as well.
True. Yeah, no, I feel like people are so scared of feedback because they're like, I don't want to hear it. Like, it's a negative thing and it scares people, but I'm like, it shouldn't be. Like, people are only giving you feedback to help you grow. Like they want to see you succeed. They're not sitting here. Most people are not sitting there giving you feedback to tear you down and like hinder you.
And another way to have a growth mindset is like, I cover customer service, love it. But like, I don't do customer service every day. Like I'm not in the weeds of like all the processes and like somebody put something up on Slack the other day and I'm like, I don't get that. I called her and I had her explain the process to me. And I just said, thank you for taking the time to explain this. I want to make sure I execute this right if I have to fill in for you. And she was just like, thank you for asking.
Wow.
You know, and so it's like those little things too. But now I know
humble enough to
but now I know how to do it too. I don't want to mess it up. But like it's also showing her that I care and that ask for help when you need the help kind of thing.
True.
I think for me, I'm going to stand on my positive poly soapbox for a second.
Always.
Practicing gratitude. Like, honestly, I think is a big part of having a growth mindset. Like, I'm so blessed to have this opportunity. Like looking at it like that, as opposed to like, oh, I have to go do this. Looking at it like, oh, I get to do this. I'm able to do this. Like, kind of like that.
People lose that.
Everything is a mindset shift.
Yeah.
I mean, in reality, if you want it to be, you can tell yourself anything.
Yeah.
You can tell yourself anything. You get to decide.
Yeah. And then also too, like self-reflection, like don't get me wrong, like I don't do it all the time, but like, I mean, I try to do it as much as I can, but like at the end of a work week, I'm like, man, what did I do like giving myself feedback. Like, what did I do this week that was really helpful or like really great? Or like, what was something that like I slacked on or I could have done better?
Oh, that's good. I bought a gratitude journal. I don't fill it out all the time.
Same.
It's right by my toilet. Occasionally I'll pick it up and write in it.
Weird spot.
Yeah. Well, it's like a 3-minute process. So it's just kind of like,
it doesn't take long.
What are the 3 things you're grateful for? What are 3 things that, and you're supposed to come back at night and say, what are 3 things I did well today? Or what are 3 things I could do differently? Or what are the 3 things I learned today? So I can't remember exactly, but it really makes you reflect and then think about, like, it puts you kind of in that growth and gratitude.
Yeah.
Huh.
I do it on my car ride home, like from work. I just sit in silence and I just think about it. Like no music,
Really?
no podcast.
Do you like say it out loud or you just like
No, in my head.
Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah. So,
That's a discipline. Like, I just would have to get in that habit. But
again, I don't do it every week, but especially on weeks where like I feel like I did a lot, like weeks of like town hall or like things like that, where I'm doing a lot. I'm like, okay, how can I make this better next time?
That's true.
How can I make this more efficient next time? How can I?
Yeah. So do you guys think like the people you surround yourself with help? Like your friends, your family, your coworkers, like
hell yeah.
Do you think
told
they
you we
push you?
pushed
I
you.
know.
Step up your
She's
job.
like, what the heck do you think we're
You
doing?
are who you hang out with.
Yeah.
Like the people that you spend the most time with, you're going to be like them.
Yeah.
So
And
if
I think too, like what I was saying in business, like I got to a point where I was like, shit, I don't have anybody who can help me. I'm going to find somebody. I remember a point in my life when I came up from having 2 babies and opening 3 fit flavors. And I go, I don't have friends. I go, I am going to find friends and make friends. Like I've over the years, I've strategically put people in my life to help me grow. Another example, when I hurt my knee years ago, I go, I'm going to get my physical therapist, my chiropractor, and my trainer all on the same page, all working together, and they all communicated. And it was just like I had a team that was going to help me get together. So like I'm big on surrounding myself with the right people. Like that is a recipe for success. And so
or disaster.
Yeah,
like, depending on,
true.
you know?
you can look at who's on. I call it Team Jillian. I love my fitness team, Jillian. It's deep. It's deep.
Squad runs deep.
We got t-shirts.
Yeah, I have a lot of people on my team, and I love that because I can reach out to them because they're experts. Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. I told my mom, I go, you got to have people on your team for weight loss. You need to have an RD. You need to have your doctor. You need to have your coach. I'm right here. I'll teach you all the recipe things. Like having those people around you that can help you get there, that is so important. So I would say, hell yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
So what's one piece of advice that you guys would give our listeners? Like your top piece of advice for growth, changing their growth mindset or just feeding into the growth mindset they're already starting?
I got 2.
Oh,
you want to go first?
If you're approached with an opportunity, say yes.
Oof. Oh, Abby.
Coming in hot.
I would say surround yourself with good people. People you trust, people that you know will give you honest feedback is huge. Like you have to have the right people around you.
Yeah, that was kind of one of mine. Mine was going to be like, find that person who's better than you, make more money than you, more disciplined than you. Like whoever that you admire because of whatever, like getting to even connect with that person. Like if someone I've had people reach out to me all the time is like, hey, my daughter is going into nutrition. Or my daughter or friend wants to start a business. Will you talk? Like I always meet with these people. I feel like it's a blessing that I can help someone like give back. Like I'm 15 years into business and in my industry, and it's like sitting down and giving someone that knowledge and sharing with them. So like, but if someone called me, I would say yes to them. And so like, I'm not afraid to call and ask. That is hard for people because you feel like this person don't like people love. I got a movie quote. People helping people. It's all deadly. Right, that's from Wedding Crashers. But like, no, people love helping people. And so people are honored. I mean, unless they're a dick, if you reach out to them and ask them for help, they're going to help you. And so like you can build relationships with people like that. And typically they'll help you. And obviously you can pay for people like as coaches or trainers and all the things like that, but it would be the surrounding the people. And then my other set of advice is if you're really wanting a growth mindset, read the book Growth Mindset by Carol Dweck. I read that many, many years ago, and it really helped me in business and actually with how my father programmed my brain growing up. So like we just didn't have much. And so like having a growth mindset and thinking differently. So I had to shift. It's just a shift. It's a shift in what you think. So I would say read the book, having a growth. I think it's having a growth mindset, or it's mindset.
Yes,
It's
that's what it is.
It's called Mindset by Carol Dweck.
Okay.
We'll put that in the show notes too. But
Link below.
read that book. It's awesome. Yeah.
Love that.
Well, thanks guys for joining us, and go kick some ass.
Get that growth.
All right, we'll catch you next time.